In the Gambia, there is no freedom of expression under the regime of President Yahya Jammeh. The Gambia has consistently remained the worst perpetrator of violations of freedom of expression rights in West Africa.
In the Gambia, a journalist does not have to violate any law before the government persecutes, arrests, detain, or in extreme cases even kill them.
Under President Jammeh's regime, journalists in the Gambia have been subjected to various acts of violence and inhumane treatment. Two of such journalists are Chief Ibrahim Manneh of the Daily Observer and Musa Sedikan of the Independent newspaper.
The case of Chief Manneh, he was a journalist who was arrested in 2006. The reason was that he published a story on the death of the Hydra, who was murdered in 2004. Another journalist, and the government refused to investigate the case. So he published a story, calling on investigation of his death, and he was arrested while he was coming home from work. And we contacted the Gambia, called our correspondents to find out his whereabouts. They moved from one cell to the other, but they couldn't find him. So we brought the case before the ECOWAS court, asking the court to declare that his arrest was a violation of his human rights and that he should also be released from detention. The case of Musa Sedikan was also a journalist in the Gambia. He reported on the human rights situation in the Gambia when he went for a meeting in South Africa. And also he reported the alleged coup plotters. The list, he published the names of alleged coup plotters in his newspaper, which is the Independent newspaper.
I was the former editor-in-chief of the Independent newspaper in Banjul until March 27, 2006, when I was arrested by a group of soldiers and policemen. I was taken to the National Intelligence Headquarters at Banjul, where I spent the night with my colleague Mansise. I was moved to Banjul Police, where we spent 1 week alongside with the detainees, including common criminals, 45 of them. And after 1 week, we were moved to the National Intelligence Headquarters in Banjul, where we were tortured. And in one of the tortures, I was stripped naked, while live electricity was administered all over my body. And at one point I went into a coma. I was physically and mentally tortured, and at some point I was shown a graveyard. At the time of my arrest, I was not told why I was arrested, but during one of the torture sessions I was told that the main reason for my arrest was because of the list that we published, Independent published, about the people that were arrested in connection with the coup. He also told me that the government was mad with me for going to South Africa, and I handed over a petition to the former South African president, and also talking about media violations in the Gambia. And after 22 days of detention without trial, I was released thanks to international pressures, mainly by the former South African president. My victory in my case is important in such a way that it will pave way for other Gambians of all walks of life who have also become victims of the regime's brutality.
Media Foundation also took up the case at the ECOWAS court, and we asked the court to declare that his arrest, detention and torture was illegal and violates the provisions of the African Charter. In 2010, the court ruled again in favor of the journalist Musa Sedikan and asked that he be paid $200,000 US. Now, in that case, the Gambian government was represented in court. A lawyer from the Aegis department came to court and defended the case, but the court ruled against them. And still till date, Gambia has not complied with the decision of the court.
That is a case that has to do with the illegal detention of the journalist, Musa Sedikan, as well as the torture meted to him when he was arrested and detained for 22 days by the Zambian government, the Yahya Jammeh regime. The court found Musa Sedikan's detention illegal and awarded him $200,000. But up to now, the Gambian government has not paid the money. In this case, we have taken it up with the authorities of the ECOWAS, and we do hope that reason will prevail at the end of the day, and the Gambian government will comply. But there's no point having a court whose judgments and decisions are treated with disdain. I believe very strongly that the ECOWAS Commission can ensure compliance with the judgment of the court in this case.
Somebody said that this country is a hell for journalists. Well, then there are freedoms and there are responsibilities. The journalists are less than 1% of the population. And if anybody expects to live, to allow less than 1% of the population to destroy 99% of the population, you are in the wrong place.
In the Gambia, the government has passed a number of laws which are very bad for journalistic practice. One of these laws, which the government has used to persecute journalists, is publishing false news. False news, in the definition of the Gambia government, simply means news that the government does not want the public to know or hear about, such as corruption, or such as a situation where the president monopolizes most of the businesses in the country, or such as even the arrest of anybody at all. The president of the Gambia decided suddenly to go and execute all the convicts on the death row. Now, any media, any organization that tried to protest or that tried to make a comment against this decision was hounded. In recent times, even a Muslim cleric, a leader of an Islamic organization, who commented negatively against this slaughter of convicts on death row, has been arrested and detained for many, many days. So to be in trouble in the Gambia, as far as journalism is concerned, or as far as generally expressing your freedom of speech, is very dangerous, especially if you are going to express your right and comment on national affairs in that country. The international community must do everything to change the situation in the Gambia. The United Nations agencies know the situation. The African Commission on People and Human Rights have, come out many times with statements opposing the violation of press freedom, and several NGOs and organizations have also protested. But the Gambian government is adamant. We think that governments in West Africa, the ECOWAS, who know the situation there, must take stronger measures. We think the governments of the countries that give aid to the Gambia must also put more pressure on the president there to change his ways as far as press freedom and freedom of expression are concerned in that country.